Hey, welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
And we are back again with a guest this week. Here with our third time returning person, RJ. Shout out. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course. You chose Fruitvale Station for the movie this week. You care to tell us a little bit about why you chose that?
I chose it because, it's Black History Month, and I watched Fruitvale Station when I was real young, and probably something you shouldn't really watch as a kid, It's got a deeper meaning to it, But, even watching it as a kid, I was like, dang, I should probably rewatch this again to see, the meaning behind it and how it, affects Black History Month. And it's based off of true events, so, I just thought, something like this would be really powerful to talk about with you guys, so
definitely.
That's why.
For sure. I kept saying to everybody, it's hard for me to get to a point with a movie, right? I was past said point, and that's a good thing. We'll get into that. But film follows Oscar as he's trying to live his clean life now that he's out of prison, and it kind of follows him in the last 24 hours leading up to New Year's and the incident surrounding his life. I'm not going to say it just yet because we'll get there eventually. Film stars Michael B. Jordan as Oscar, shout out. Octavia Spencer as Wanda, another shout out. Melanie Diaz is Sophia. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. I think that is a typo on my part. That's definitely not who was playing that guy.
Durant.
Yeah. But yeah, so great cast. But Griffin, what are we thinking for general thoughts here?
General thoughts. I can't really go too much into it without going to spoiler territory. It's just.
We'll have to spoil it eventually.
I know, but if I had to sum it up in just one word, I would say heartbreaking. But also just kind of in more general thoughts. I was surprised to see Ryan Coogler directed this because I know he's famous nowadays for Sinners, Black Panther, Creed. I still have to watch Creed. But yeah, seeing this was his debut film, and I think it was a amazing debut film for him too.
RJ, what are you thinking?
My general thoughts. I think that, like you said earlier, the fact that it's just one day, the whole movie just takes place in 24 hours, but the way they're able to implement flashbacks and really, dive deep into someone's life, it has a lot of symbolism in it. You can see how hard it is for someone who just got out of the system to start a life, you know what I mean? And how much, goes on in, just a day, you know what I mean? So like I said, I think it's emotionally driven. It really shows you that something can get taken away from you just like that. And like you said, I think the cast is absolutely amazing as well. So yeah, I love the movie. I do.
Yeah, I know nothing about this, right? Whenever I started, never even heard of it. And it's very emotionally heavy. It is a very, very heavy film to get through. And the majority of it isn't even that emotional, right? It's mainly just the opening scene and then the last 30 minutes or so. It's just those instances, and it's only an hour and a half movie.
It's very short.
Right.
Yeah, it's not long at all.
So I just, man, where to even start? Yeah. I do love acting. I think I was kind of caught aback initially whenever I saw, Ryan Coogler's on this. Yeah. And then it's a very simplistic movie. There's not a lot of fancy cinematography going on with this. It's pretty straightforward shots, but I don't think it needed to be anything fancy, right? I don't need a crazy amount of whip pans or fading transitions or anything whenever I'm just following a guy who is a real person in their last moments, right? I want to be grounded like that, and I think Coogler really capitalized on that. And then something that completely surprised me, Ludwig Göransson's on score for this. Just did not know that until the credits.
Yeah, I looked on Wikipedia, and I just saw his name. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you not know that?
I didn't know that either, no.
Yeah, so when the credits started, I was watching through, right, and I'm hearing that music after that final scene, and I was like, dude, how? And then I saw his name show up, and I was like, what? He's here too? Yeah. And I think that really speaks a lot to the way that he crafted the score for this, because it does not play that often.
No.
Almost at all. So having a score at the end that just kind of makes me sit and wallow in my thoughts, right, and what I saw is incredible. I don't know how you can manage to do something like that.
I think it forces you to think at the end. You're just sitting there. I think you sit there for 30 minutes.
Very
you're
much,
just wow. What just happened? You know what I mean? It just happened so sudden too. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying.
I mean, even from like the opening scene, that was like real footage of the incident this movie is based around. So like from the beginning, you kind of know like what's going to happen, but like it still takes you on a very well crafted like trip through his life and just all that.
Yeah, we keep dancing around it, so I think it's time we spoil it here. But what happens is Oscar on New Year's gets detained on the platform by officers who, whenever he tries standing up for his friends, push him down to the ground, and one of the officers shoots him and he dies.
Yeah.
And it's one of the earlier instances of like police brutality, I'd probably say. I don't know how many, like early 2000, what this came out, or this happened in 2007. I would have been like 1 year old, right? So like I'm not around long enough. Yeah.
Would have been like 3.
Right. So I'm not around long enough to know how much prior to that's been going on, right? But after civil rights movement, I know that that's when that started gaining much more traction, right, and awareness. And I think what sticks out to this so much for me is just that it captures it exactly as it is. It's not dramatized. It's not underdeveloped. It's just as is. And, you know, like the opening scene shows the actual footage of whenever he gets shot. And then you get a remade version of that with Michael B. Jordan's character when you get towards the end of the film. And it hurts, man. Like I genuinely had like a tear in my eye. That is incredibly hard for a movie to do for me.
Just
so
get that emotion.
Yeah, if you can make me tear up or like cry at a movie, honest, like that's insane level shit. It hurts, man, and it sucks too because you know I don't have that firsthand experience with anything, right? But I watched that whenever the recreation happens, right? And with Michael B. Jordan's character, and I thought back to whenever Cove died, right on just off campus briefly last year, and that kind of thing, where like it still happens. And I remember how whenever that initially happened, BSU was wondering if the police were the people that shot him, and like I get it, like it happens. That's not an unfounded judgment call.
Yeah, most definitely. You see situations like that, you just like, I think it brings light to like to police brutality in general. Because I mean, we see what happens. He didn't have to get shot, you know, at all.
No.
You know, he's laying there. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say he was the most cooperative person in the world. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's not forcing anything on the police. He's not putting his hands on the police or anything.
No.
But I mean, for you to say that you cried and something like that, I think for me, the most emotional part of it, and I think what Ryan Coogler does so great on is showing the impact that his daughter had on his life.
Oh, yeah.
So when he's shot, first thing he says is, "You shot me. I have a daughter." You know, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, that like hurts. That hurts, man.
Yeah, like it's just like, wow, like this man, we just seen him with his daughter for almost the whole movie, and that's the one thing he cares the most about. And it's like
the first thing he says too.
Yeah, the first thing he says, like, "I have a daughter, man. Like, you just shot me." It was like the first thing he thought about. So yeah, it's definitely emotional. Like, I think in the sound effects, it's like the boom, everything just stops. You know, I think his baby mama's like, you know, she looks around like, what's just happened? Everybody's like, oh my God, freaks out of nowhere, and it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? And when he goes to the hospital too, you just like hope that he's not dead. You know, I mean, we know that, you know, but he's just like, maybe he'll survive. You know, it's just you're just waiting in the ear, and it's like, yeah, he didn't make it. You know, and yeah, it's really emotional for sure.
Yeah, and it sucks too because the last scene that him and his daughter share in the movie is her begging him not to go. Just like, I keep hearing gunshots outside or whatever. And he's like, nah, baby, it's just fireworks. Don't worry about it. Yep. And then sure enough, it is a gunshot, right? Like it's heavy. There's no other way to describe it. It's just heavy.
It's not even like foreshadowing. It's like, it's just kind of like, I mean, you already know what's going to happen. So it's not foreshadowing, but at the same time, it's like, hints at like the danger that was out there.
Yeah. And another thing, like you said, his daughter tells him like she doesn't want him to go, but maybe his mother tells him like, I don't want you driving. I want you to take the
train. Yeah,
so when he, you know, is in the hospital, the first thing she says is like, it's my fault. You know what I mean? That's heavy too. Like as a mother, you know, that's the last thing you want is your children, you know, deaf. You know what I mean? And like you get to feel her pain. You know what I mean? She's an amazing actor. I forgot what you said her name was.
I believe Octavia Spencer. Yeah, she's brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
She plays that role really well in that movie for sure.
Yeah, I Yeah, and as heavy as I think that recreation of that incident is, I don't even think that's what gets me the most. I think it's during the credits that gets me the most, where you get that actual footage of, I think it's the 10-year, or it's a few years afterwards, right? Yeah. And you see the daughter there again with one of the, like, the signs, and she's crying. I've never had to turn my head physically, like, away from the screen before. And I'm here with a hole in my chest, and I'm like, dude, I physically could not look at it. Like, it just hurts so much. It sucks, man. Like, it hurts. And it's hard for me to get feeling like that for a movie. So the fact that they captured that, right, it's just, there's no word to describe it. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that I know watch the movie. They always say, like, this is the type of movie you can only watch once. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I totally get it. Like, I mean, I've watched it twice now. But like, I don't see myself watching it again in the future. You know, it's just too hard to see. You know what I mean? Especially when it's based off a true story. Like, dang, it sucks that this happened to someone. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
yeah. He was only 22 or 23 as well.
22, I believe.
22, yeah. So,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was still very young, and you know, I got done with it, right? I'm still like in shock of just, you know, what I watched. And I texted Cameron and I was like, hey, have you seen this before? Right? And she was like, no, what's it about? And I told her, and I was like, you best believe that, like, our kids will be watching this. Like, I know Cam on Letterboxd replied to it, and he's like, yeah, this is generational cinema right here. And it is, right? Like, this is a very serious movie, but also very formative. I feel like this is something I want to share with people, right? Just to have them experience that kind of thing and be more knowledgeable of it, right?
I did want to ask you guys about a scene.
Let's go for it.
Sure.
I mean, it's weirdly placed in the movie, and I never understood it. And rewatching it, I still never understood those scenes with the dog at the gas station. What did you guys think that meant? You know what I mean? Like, it's added into the movie for a reason, but why? You know?
Right. If you have an answer, go first.
No, you go for
it. Okay. I guess it could be like seen as like this dog walks up to him. And then, like, it's obviously a stray, and, like, he's kind of, like, you know, petting it and, you know, head pats and all that. And then I guess the dog walks off into the street, and then it gets hit by a car. And then Oscar gets sad about it, and then the dog dies, which was also probably another sad part of the movie. No one likes seeing a dog die in a movie.
No.
I guess, like, overall, it could mean, like, he could be, like, he knew. Yeah, I don't know.
See, I don't know either, because it is it's
very random.
It's intentional, right? Like, it's very hard to accidentally make a scene like that, of all things, but I still don't know what its, like, purpose was, but it didn't detract anything for me. I think the best answer I can give is that maybe it's meant to show that Oscar's not that bad of a guy, right? Like, he got out of prison, right? Everybody was pretty mad at him. His mom, his baby mama, like you said, right? Like, everybody was not very happy with him. And then he's still doing some questionable stuff on the side, right? He's still selling drugs here and there every now and then, but, like, he's got to get by, right? Yeah. And then there's scenes like at the grocery store where he's helping out this lady who he ends up running into on the train later as he dies, right? And I think this scene with the dog is maybe just meant to show that, like, yeah, he's been through some he's done some but he's not all that, right? Like, he's more than that. He wants to be a good person. He's trying to be a good person. And whenever he gets to that dog and it dies in front of him, right? And he's like, nothing I can do. I tried it, right? And then it's just left on the street.
I think, like, kind of going off that point, like, it shows, like, yeah, he's done some, you know, bad things, but at the same time too, he's still like a good person at heart. So it's like kind of being there with that dog in his last moments was kind of like him just being like just that person to be there as well.
Yeah. You brought up the question. What do you think about this?
I don't know. I guess like just showing that he's a good person as well. But I don't know. Like I said, I always watched it and I was like, man, like just seems so randomly placed because, like, I mean, I guess like everything that happens for a reason throughout the, you know, like you said about the female you missed at the grocery store, that like show to cause and effect later in the show. So I always wonder like what did the dog mean? Like it was just dog dies. I always thought like something was going to happen with that, but it never does. So I never had an opinion on it, but I mean I guess I can agree with that. Like it's just showing that human. You know what I mean? He's human as well. Like he hurts as well too. And later with his death, it's like I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like a death. You know what I mean? The dog dies. He dies. It's an emotional movie. You know what I mean? Can't expect to not feel some type of way about a lot of scenes. So I don't know.
And I feel like too, it's hard to tell with historical movies because I don't know the full historical context of every single thing that has ever happened in this. Right? I don't know if that dog dying actually happened in real life. Right? Sure. So I don't know if this was something that Coogler added in here as like a symbolic gesture or if this is like a genuine thing that happened. Right?
Sure.
It's hard to determine that stuff, but I do have a deep thought prepared, but I don't know if we're ready to jump into there quite yet. So is there anything else we want to chat about?
I mean, what do you think about the acting in general, Michael B. Jordan's performance? This is one of the movies that I think like really started his career, in my opinion. So like, what do you think about young Michael B. Jordan really having such a crazy role? Because that's a crazy role to have, dude.
It was kind of funny because I was watching it, right, and I know he's a phenomenal actor. I didn't have any problems with the way he acted. It's very simplistic, straight up. I don't think I've seen him in a role where he leans so much into the personality this much before. Granted, I've not seen a ton of his movies, right? But I Sinners being most recent, like he's got that accent on lock, right? The difference here is it's not an accent; it's more just like the slang, right, and all that. That's on point. I laughed a little bit at the scene where he runs with his daughter, right? Oh, yeah. And he's got his full like.
Oh yeah.
He's just like.
Yeah, he was running for it. That was always funny, but I think that was just the way like it slow mode down, know. But
good scene.
No,
too.
I do like him in the role. I think. Historical films also like surprise me that they can cast people in the lead that look so similar to like the real person, right? Jackson or Michael's upcoming movie, right? Michael Jackson's, where I think it's his nephew that's playing him, Jafar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
So. Seeing him move across the stage from like trailers and dances and some behind the scene footage before we get there, it's like day and night. It's the same dude. Yeah. Like I think Michael B. Jordan in this does the same thing for Oscar, right? Where they look the same, and I we don't see footage of Oscar other than the beginning, but I would assume that they act pretty well the same.
Yeah. I probably got that down.
And I think too with the acting, I feel like the acting in this movie overall, it's just like it's not like intensely dramatic, like what you'd see in a lot of different movies. Like a lot of this, it's very grounded. It feels like you're there, and like that scene where they're having like dinner with their family, it's like they're just a family having dinner. It's not like it doesn't feel like a group of actors like acting out of family dinner. It's like it's a family having dinner, if that makes sense. And like at the grocery store too, it's not like actors at a grocery store like trying to prepare the fish fry, I think it was. It's like I could believe it if it was a real group of people like trying to prepare a fish fry or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like like you said, I think it shows the human side of like what I think that's what the movie goes for, though. Honestly, like show as much like humane as possible because he dies in such a tragic way, show that he's still human. I think a scene that shows that really is when he's talking to the guy when his baby mama, I keep forgetting her name. I don't know what her real name is. When she's going to the bathroom.
I think Sophia? Sophina?
Okay, Sophine,
I think so.
Anyway, when they're trying to like find the bathroom or whatever, and he meets that guy, and they're like, just having like a normal conversation. Yeah. He's like, yeah, bro, like, it's like, yeah, like he's just a normal guy. And then actually in that scene, he tells me like, yeah, like you ever need a job? It's like he's starting to get his life back together. Yeah, his daughter, this and the third. Like it just leads up to such a impactful moment, though. So yeah, I think I'll do like the acting in it. Sure.
Yeah, and with the acting too, I think of Octavia Spencer towards the end of this movie, right, where Oscar's in the hospital, right, and every time the doctors come back, it's always some sort of negative news or neutral news before they figure out that it's bad, right, and the rest of Oscar's friends are all up in arms, ready to go, and I think it's very, very powerful that she's like, no, you need to chill out, like, just let them do their job. We will pray for him. He will be all right. We need to lift him up, is what she says, right?
Yep.
I feel like, if that was my kid out there, right, I would want to be up in arms too. I don't know if I have that level of strength in me to just sit down and breathe and let them do the job, right?
Wait, yeah. because that's all they can. I mean, realistically, that's all they can do is just wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
It was good seeing them all together, though. It just shows that, like, he really meant something to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, he meant a lot to a lot of people. And then I think, you know, you get that ending reel, too, where, like, the community's out there, too.
Yeah.
I think after his death, right, more people went there, honored him, you know. So his impact on that local community as well, very, very strong. Yeah. Do we think we're ready for a deep thought?
I think so, yeah.
Alrighty. So, film starts off, and it is the actual footage of whenever Oscar dies, right? And then the film starts with Michael B. Jordan. There's that one flashback, goes back to present day, you get all the way through the end, and then there's that ending real footage of his daughter at one of the memorial services. I guess that would that be the right term for it? Yeah, like an honorable moment. And the deep thought here is, do we think the film would have been better if it did not start off with the actual footage of him dying? Who do we want to have go first here?
Would it have been better without it?
Yes. Would the film film overall been better if it did not start with the footage of him dying?
Like, just start or include?
Yeah, like it'll start with like Michael B. Jordan's character, right, as we go through, and there's no mention of his death from the actual footage until the minute that the recreation with Michael B. Jordan happens.
I think the movie is better with that footage at the beginning. I think, like, since it is kind of a historical, being like, you know, less than 20 years ago, but historical nevertheless. It's still a real, like, incident that happens, so it's like having that context there at the beginning, I feel like kind of serves like the emotional impact of like the recreation later, because like you're given like some context as to like what is going to happen to Oscar later, and it just kind of makes like that last half hour just or 20 minutes, half hour just as emotional as it is. So I think having that like real footage there at the beginning, it shows you enough without like fully showing everything, because it shows a lot and then it cuts right before the gunshot, and then the movie starts playing out. So I think like having that real footage at the beginning just helps it later on.
Right. I can see that. RJ, what are we thinking?
Honestly, dude, I think the movie is like so good that with it in the beginning or without it in the beginning doesn't make a difference, honestly. I mean, you take it out of the beginning, I mean, you do get like a surprise factor at the end, surprise element. It's not something that you would expect to happen. But I mean, at the same time though, I think without knowing what happens, the whole movie, you'll kind of be like, hey, what's the point? You know what I mean? You just be watching it like, hey, what's going to happen? But like you said, it's a historical movie. So, I mean, you kind of already want to know, like, right, this is going into it, you're going to know it's like based on a real movie. You want to know it's based on a real movie. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I think it works better with it in the beginning. You take it out, still a great movie. Take it, keep it in there, still a great movie, because the way the movie was, like, it was still, showed a story of a guy that ended up having a very tragic death. So, yeah.
Right. And what you mentioned there is really key, that no matter what you do, whether you keep it in or you take it out, the movie's so good on its own that it doesn't change the way that it impacts people, right? And I think that's where my stance on it is. I think a middle ground for me would have been preferred. Granted, I don't have a preference one way or another, but I'm curious to what would happen if you still showed the footage and then cut before the gunshot so you don't hear it, right? Because in the opening we do hear it. So then throughout the film, I'm knowing that that's going to happen. I'm more so waiting for that to happen than I am paying attention to everything else going on. Granted, I can do both, right? I think most people watching it did both, but you have that expectation of like, he will die, right? There's no way around it. Like, it will happen. You saw it happen already. So you're just kind of waiting for that. And you mentioned that surprise factor, right? You get to the end here, and let's say that you don't know that he gets shot, right? And, the way that I felt after having that gunshot, right, where it was just so damn sad and heavy. And you get through that end, right, and like you're watching people save him, and you're rooting for him, like, yeah, get back up, and then he can't, right? And then that ending scene with his daughter there at the tribute, I feel like might have been slightly more impactful and emotional if you didn't know that he died, because you get that surprise from it. But I do agree with the point that if you start off without that historical context, it's very boring unless you know that it's based on that, right? And you know what to expect. Because I can very clearly see a world where that doesn't happen. You get through this whole thing. You're just watching Michael B. Jordan go through the motions of life and wondering, why do I need to care about this guy?
Right.
Exactly.
I think too. So like you have the footage there, and you kind of know what's gonna happen, and like you're kind of like dreading the moment ultimately where he gets shot. But like if they didn't have it, it would have been more of a shocking moment, as you said. So it's kind of like a dread versus shock kind of a thing. So it's like
they made the right choice.
Yeah, I think they're going with like the dreadfulness of like knowing what's going to happen left more of an impact.
Yeah, if I watched that and I didn't know he was dying in the beginning, and like I would have been devastated, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's what like is so crazy. It's like it's still devastating. Yeah. Right? Like even 100%. Knowing it.
Like either way it would have been absolutely devastating.
Yeah. Because I mean, if I think this, like if I didn't know this is based on real events, it doesn't even have to be based on real events. Like this is a sad story, you know what I mean? I'm seeing that, I'm like, wow. Like I didn't know he was gonna die in the beginning, so I'm just like you said, well, it would be kind of boring to get through though, because it's like, yeah, what? Why do I care about this guy? You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like, because for me, I don't have a preference either way. Like, I'm still fine with this, happy as is. I think I would have been happy if it still wasn't there. Maybe a little bit less, just because, like I said, it'd be kind of boring. But I feel like if you get that surprise factor in there, right, and you see that clip of just the police harassing these guys, right, you kind of recognize that still happens today, unfortunately, right? And I don't know if there's a way to really combat that other than just like condemn it, right? But you see that happen, but there's that subconscious level of that brutality where like, oh yeah, police are beating up a guy. I've seen this before. How many times have you seen police shoot a guy in the middle of a public space before? I'd imagine not that often, but it happens, right? So when you get to that surprise factor, initially it's shocking, like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. But when you stop and think about it longer in context, where it's like, that does happen quite often still.
Yeah.
You actually to dig deeper into this, like we're talking about the shooting, like him getting shot, but 5-10 minutes before that, the way the police officers were treating him, like that's how it really is. You know what I mean? As a young black man in today's society, like things like that happen. They got segregated immediately. They got to the train. They're the only ones that got, you come out. It wasn't just them in the fight. You know what I mean? It was, the other people as well, but they weren't black. They weren't African American. So they get picked out. They come outside and they're being rude. They're calling them. There's a point when he calls them the hard ER during that scene. It's like, wow, like that's how you're going to talk to me. But that's how it is. You know what I mean? They talk to them any kind of way, saying anything they want, treat them any type of way. And then like for them to just grab him and just throw him on the ground like that. Because what do he do? Like try to get up or something like that?
Yeah, that's all he did. He just tried like standing up.
And that's how it is though. Like they like, it's like they try to, not only do they show like someone dies from the hands of police brutality, but like how police brutality starts in the first place. Like this is how a black man is treated, even when he's not in the wrong, even when they're not looking at the other options. Like, okay, like maybe they didn't even do anything. They're immediately being stereotyped. You know what I mean? So I think that is powerful as well to see how they're getting talked to and stuff. And then there's even a scene where the police officer that does shoot him, the other police officer that was being the rudest one is like, what did you just do? You know what I mean? He looks at him, it's like, what are you doing? Because it's like, oh yeah, I might be racist. I might be, a pig. I might be terrible, but I don't want to kill him because I don't want to make a big scene. You know what I mean? So it's deep. You know what I mean? It goes deeper than him just being shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's a good point too, because I feel like being in news too, right? I can acknowledge that we have a bit of a problem when covering some things like that, right? Where the news of the matter is person died, right? But there's not as much coverage on how those things brought into social awareness. So I think it's important that this movie shows how that incident started, right? Where there's an initial level of prejudice that escalates. Exactly. And, even the guy who's actively being racist and harmful and saying all the names and different things like that gets to a point where whenever he does get shot, where he's like, that might be too far for me even, right? Where he's like, yeah, I can excuse being a bigot and all that, but the minute you like do something that's definitely going to ruin our reputation, I don't know about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Yeah.
And I think it's weirder too, because I can't remember the exact time frame, but I remember they said like in the ending credits or whatever that the guy that shot him was charged with involuntary murder or something like that, and then
released early.
Yeah, he was released early. Like,
yeah. Initially, he was charged with first-degree murder, and then he made the case that he thought he had pulled out his taser, but fact of the matter is he pulled out his gun. And so then his sentence got reduced down to involuntary manslaughter, sentenced to 2 years, but he only stayed for 11 months.
You could compare that to today's society as well, like with the Sonia Massey situation. Like, he went from first degree to second degree. He still got sentenced, but it's not going to be what people want, and like it's murder. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not going to go too political into it, all that.
Right.
But, yeah. It's still like that in today's society for sure.
And I think that's why for me, like it hit so heavy too, because having to cover whenever Cove died, I still remember like having heard BSU's reaction as I was trying to compile all the facts and write that story, and it's not an unfounded initial reaction because it's prominent enough that there is a basis to make that claim initially. And I get it. It's heavy, man. It's heavy.
Definitely.
But with that said, deep thought about, do we think we're ready for some ratings?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. RJ, you're the guest. Let's hear what you got to say first.
So it's out of 5 stars. Right?
Out of 5.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and give me that 5.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. All right.
Griffin, what are you thinking?
I am also going to give this a 5 out of 5.
Ayo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I need to say. I think it's just 5 out of 5. It's heartbreaking, but and just really emotional ending and all that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very hard for me to get an emotional reaction out of a movie because either I'm thinking about it too critically or I'm just not in that headspace to feel emotional, right?
Yeah.
But by God, Ryan Coogler, my goat, did it. Like he knows how to capture it, and he's not even doing anything fancy, right? Like he's just showing you this happened. This is how it was. It's still how it is, right? And for me to physically have to turn away whenever I'm seeing his actual daughter in that footage, that's the real footage at the end, I think heavy is probably, like I've said it so many times, that's the only way I can describe it. It's a heavy loaded thing.
Very.
So it's got to be the 5 out of me. There's no other option. Like I still think it would have been cool to see kind of like if we changed how that start went, but sure. I don't need it to change. Like I get what I need out of it, and it delivers. Right,
it just works.
100% did. Yeah.
Well, that's all for this episode of Two Dudes. I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
And I'm RJ.
And Griffin and I will be back next week with another movie. So until then, bye.
Bye.